As stay-at-home orders begin to lift and travel picks up, more airlines are now urging passengers to wear masks, but not all are requiring it. Starting Monday, all JetBlue passengers and crew will have to wear masks. As for American Airlines and United Airlines, they will provide masks for passengers, but only require crews to wear them. This is similar to Delta Airlines. The other big problem, experts suggest, we stay 6 feet apart, which is, of course, almost impossible on a plane. How do we stay safe when we fly? With me now is Qingyan Chen, professor of mechanical engineering at Purdue University, and Pete Montina, CNN correspondent, who's been covering this story for us. Qingyan Chen, if I could begin, I just want to show some animation here that gets at the challenges of keeping this spread in check in confined spaces of an airplane. Here's one person breathing, throwing up, the virus in effect or around the plane and how quickly it spreads. So how does wearing a mask solve the problem in such a confined space? Is it possible? Does it solve the problem?
Yes, I think, Jim, it is possible because when you wear the mask and then the droplets one produce will be captured by mask. Although the efficiency is not very high, but I believe a majority of the particles will be captured in the mask. And therefore, when you sit side by side with another passenger, then the infection rate will become very low. And therefore, it's very crucial to have everyone put the masks on when you are entering the airport, because the risk is not in the airplane, but also during the check-in procedure, going to the gate, and especially during the boarding and deplane procedure. And at that time, because the people just clusters each other and stand in a very short distance, that's a very dangerous period.
I want to be clear here because many times on this broadcast, doctors, healthcare professionals, Qingyan Chen, have said that really to block the vast majority of particles, droplets, you need a high quality, an N95 mask, as opposed to just a cloth surgical mask or the kind of cloth mask that people have been making. I mean, to be truly effective, particularly in the confined space of a plane, do you need to be wearing one of those professional health masks as opposed to something more makeshift?
Yeah, if you wear N95 masks, which means you will be able to capture 99.99% of the particles, especially very small size of particles with a diameter about 1 micrometer. But I think when you wear just even your self-made mask, which might not be able to capture very, very small, tiny particles, however, you can capture still very large particles with a diameter like 20 microns. And I believe those large particles contain a lot of more virus than small particles. And that's why even CDC recommend that we should keep a social distancing of 6 feet, and that's really just try to keep the large particles away from us.
Okay, Pete, so you flew twice yesterday. A lot of this is going to come down, I imagine, to how comfortable people are just doing this. I mean, what practices did you see on the plane, walking around the terminal? Was everyone wearing a mask? Did they try to sit apart from each other on the plane? How did it work?
Well, it's interesting you ask about masks because it was hard to find someone yesterday who wasn't already wearing a mask, even though these airlines are now providing masks to passengers and JetBlue requiring it, calling it the new flying etiquette. Here's my experience. Washington to Atlanta yesterday and back. Passengers were maintaining relatively good social distance in the waiting area, sort of skipping every few seats, waiting at the gate. On the jetway, it was a pretty elongated line. The plane was only about maybe a third or a quarter full. So it was pretty easy to not take a middle seat, and frankly, it was pretty easy to take your own row. It seems like the flight crews are really keyed in on this. Some are trying to help people move around. Initially, I was in an aisle seat next to someone in a window seat. I ended up getting moved up to my own row. So airlines are keen on trying to help passengers as they pass through. The interesting thing is TSA numbers show that passenger travel is actually ticking up slightly after it cratered around April 3rd. So now we're wondering whether or not passengers are getting more comfortable with this concept of maybe flying again.
Yeah, Yan Chen, before we go, there's been a lot of talk about and science that shows that the virus can survive on surfaces for periods of time. Is it a smart step for people when they sit down in a plane seat, if they choose to travel, to bring a disinfectant wipe everything down, especially the tray?
Absolutely. We actually found that a lot of studies show that if you wipe the tray tables, armrests, even the toilet knobs, by using the alcohol-contained wipe, that will help a great deal.
All right. Well, be careful out there. Yan Chen, Pete Montine, thanks to both of you.
Thank you.